Order has been restored to the world. It's Labor Day, and all the labor that our MMA heroes have put in has finally paid off. Tony Ferguson snaps his 7-fight losing streak. Luke Rockhold totally gets cleaned up. He probably needs to retire. We'll talk about that. Darren Till, who is this guy? Totally revitalized his career in this Misfits organization. And Dillon Danis. Dillon Danis gets a 6-second submission victory. All of this made possible by KSI and the Misfits organization. I'm thankful for them. And I never thought I'd say that. Let's get into these fights. Starting with Tony Ferguson versus Salt Papi. Now, I know a lot of us were very scared about Tony Ferguson taking on this challenge. Salt Papi has really big power. He's proven himself to be serviceable within the boxing realm, right? We've seen him knock some people out. We've seen him fight quite a lot now. I mean, I think he's had 4, 5, 6 fights within this Misfit Boxing organization, and he's probably one of the biggest staples in that company. So we see that Tony Ferguson hasn't won in 7 years, right? People don't finish Tony a lot. I think the last time he was finished was Michael Chandler. Might have been one of the only times he's ever been finished in that Chandler fight, but he just hasn't looked the same in a while. I think us seeing Tony being KO'd subconsciously sowed a seed into us that made us believe that he was going to get KO'd by a YouTuber. And if you're like me, a lot of us were afraid of that. Because not only would that crush me for Tony Ferguson, it would crush everybody in MMA, and it wouldn't look good for MMA. Now, we could always fall back on, oh, well, he's older. He hasn't been in his prime in like 8, 9 years now. But that's not the reality, baby. Tony Ferguson snaps the win, snaps the losing streak, Jesus. Puts Salt Papi away in the 3rd round, it was, I believe. Let's talk about the fight. Tony looked good out of the gate. Like, you could tell he was trying to find his stride. He was trying to get his timing down. Salt Papi found him a few times. A few big punches landed in the 1st and 2nd round. Kind of, I don't want to say wobbled Tony, but like Tony definitely felt it. He even got some bruisings, a slight cut under one of his eyes. But he found his timing in the 3rd round and got Salt Papi out of there. I've heard a lot of people say that it was a bad stoppage. Guys, this is what you have to understand. There's been 2 or 3 deaths in boxing this year alone. Misfits ain't trying to have that happen on their card. So I would rather see these guys get out of there safe than something bad happen to one of these guys. You understand? Tony Ferguson let loose like a 12, 15 punch combination on Salt Papi, and the ref jumped in and stopped the fight. Tony Ferguson hits his knees, and I don't know what this belt is, but he's got it, baby. Let's go. After the fight, Tony bumped into Dillon Danis, which, if you guys remember, they were supposed to fight in that GLE organization. Yeah, you know, the one that never even happened, the organization that never existed. Well, in the back, in the locker room, they had a face-off, and I think that's a fight that they're going to try to make happen. So Dillon Danis, speaking of, Dillon Danis had the very first MMA fight in history in the DAZN organization. DAZN, DAZN. You know what I mean? Dillon Danis took on Warren Spencer, who, if you don't know, he's like 0-1 in MMA and 1-1 in boxing. He's from the UK. He's 31 years old. And he's kind of come on to this Misfits DAZN scene. But by no means is he this stud of a boxer. You know what I mean? But he is primarily a striker. And in the lead up to this fight, during the press conference, he pretty much begged Dillon Danis to not take him down. He was egging him on, saying, you know, I bet you won't stand with me. I bet you won't strike with me. Like, okay. At a point, KSI even told Dillon Danis, if you do not shoot, if you do not grapple, and if you win by knockout, TKO, or if you win by striking decision, I guess. I read that as any kind of win, just as long as you don't shoot. He said, I will double your pay. You know, Danis talked about Tony Ferguson not having a win in a while. He said that he didn't want to ruin his moment. That's why he didn't call Tony out. Him and Tony had a private little talk after. But Danis hasn't had a win in a while either. Maybe in some jiu-jitsu tournaments, I'm not sure. But Danis got a submission. Some are saying 6 seconds, others are saying 11. All I know is it was fast. Warren Spencer looked like came in to throw an uppercut. Danis met him with a jab. And then Warren Spencer grabbed him. And Danis is like, okay, are you trying to grab me? Are you trying to wrestle me? I'll happily oblige. Wrapped him up in a guillotine, hits the ground. Warren Spencer taps immediately, which he said he would do if the fight even hit the ground and he was in a situation where he might have to tap, because he said, I'm not going out like that on live TV, which I would argue you don't want to get hurt, right? You don't want to get your arm broken. You don't want to get hurt, but maybe try to fight through some positions and fight it a little bit. Warren Spencer didn't fight the submission at all. He tapped and he got up out of there. So it was really good to see Dillon Danis get a win. And might I say, I like this Dillon Danis. I could tell he was very happy after the victory. Look, sometimes in life, guys, follow me on this, you just need to get positive momentum going forward. That's not just with fighting. This can be on your job. This can be in your personal relationships. Just small little victories can make you feel so good and can lead to much bigger victories. And I think that's what we saw tonight for Dillon Danis and for Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is already talking about getting back with his coaches to see what's next. What's next will probably be the second ever MMA fight taking place between Dillon and Tony. And last on the card was Darren Till versus Luke Rockhold, the main event. Where do I start? I had a very strong hunch that Darren Till was going to win this fight. So leading up to this fight, the trash talk is legendary. It's by no mistake that these guys from the UK, specifically Irish and Scouse fighters, blow up internationally. It's the way they talk trash. It's the way they talk in general. Like, we're all attracted to it. Like, do you remember back in the day, maybe this is just me, I used to look up Conor McGregor best trash talking moments. Same thing with Darren Till. It's always a good time in the lead up to a fight. We've seen Darren Till fight now 3 times, I believe. No, twice. This was his 3rd boxing match in this year, so he's been very active. And he has only seemed to get better and better. And Luke Rockhold hasn't had a win in a while. I think Schilling was his last win in karate combat. We saw what happened to him against Mike Perry in BKFC, although he did have some good moments early on in that fight. I thought Luke would have performed better than he did. I'll say that. All respect to Luke Rockhold, I think he should probably retire from combat sports. He's got a lot going for him. He's his own man. He can do whatever the hell he wants, but my God, like, he's got the Jackson podcast. He's got the modeling shit. I mean, he could do anything he wants to do. And that network he's got over in Southern California, he could partner with anybody on anything and win. So, I don't know. That's just me personally. Darren Till, however, I think might just be in the prime of his career, at least with boxing. He only seems to get better with each performance, and this performance was the best. We're usually used to seeing Darren Till shooting his 1-2, 1-1-2, and it's pretty predictable. The thing is, even if you do predict it, that freaking power hand always finds its way home. It always lands. And now Darren Till has gotten to a point where he's throwing like 6, 7, 8 punch combinations, and that's exactly how he got Luke Rockhold out of there. He almost got him out in the first round. W ref, though, because the ref didn't stop the fight, and he really sent Luke out on his shield. I figured Luke was going to get finished in the second round because he got dropped bad at the end of the first, saved by the bell. And he gets his ass beat up some more in the second round by Darren Till. And in the third, Darren Till just hits him with like a 6-punch combination and absolutely folds Luke Rockhold like a pretzel. And after the fight, I saw a picture. Darren Till and Luke Rockhold were out drinking together. So, again, the press conference, Darren Till, is all to sell the fight, right? And Darren is calling for Frock. Frock is almost 50 years old. I don't like that fight for him. I'm going to be honest. I think that's him trending downwards. The Mike Perry fight is absolutely the fight that needs to happen. Now, Mike Perry is about to fight Jeremy Stephens in BKFC, so that could take a while. Another fight that needs to happen is the Jake Paul fight. Like, that's the real answer. But now Jake Paul's got this bull crap going on with Tank Davis, Gervonta Davis, this exhibition fight. That's going to be a waste of time and money. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you want a competitive fight, Jake Paul, look no further than Darren Till. And that's a winnable fight for both guys, I think. And it's a challenge. I think it's a step up in competition from what Jake Paul is used to. And I think it's going to be a step up in competition from what Darren Till is used to. So if we're looking at making the most money possible, sure. You always want to fight the easiest competition. If Rock wants to jump in there at 50 years old, that would probably be Darren's easiest fight. He also called out Andrew Tate. I think he'd get Andrew Tate out of there pretty quick. I know. Andrew used to be a kickboxer. Andrew's like 40 some odd years old now, dude. And he hasn't fought in a while. He smokes cigars all day. I don't think Andrew Tate is going to even I don't think he would take another fight. It doesn't add up. If Andrew Tate takes a loss, he gets his ass knocked out. Can you imagine? Because there's so many people that dislike Andrew. And if he gets knocked out, the internet will never forget it. Anyways, fantastic. I'm not going to say fantastic card, like overall. But the 3 fights they chose to put on as main events and the double co-mains were awesome. And I would love to see DAZN partner up with more of these retired or ex-MMA guys to shine a light on the mixed martial arts world. And also give these guys an opportunity to show that, yes, mixed martial arts guys can be competitive in boxing. And I think we absolutely saw that. Guys, let me know what you thought about this event down in the comments. Let me know what you think about future matchups for some of these guys. Did I miss something? Let me know.